Hello friends, and welcome to Figure Study, where we appreciate the form in Transformers. Today we're taking a look at Mastermind Creations' Reformatted Nitro, which is a repaint and remold, shares the same skeleton, but a lot of stuff's been changed, of Mastermind Creations' Reformatted Calidus, which is their version of IDW Rodimus or Hot Rod, however you want to look at it. Now Nitro here is meant to represent either Nitro Convoy or Override, depending on which version of whatever show that I never watched it was supposed to be. I think Nitro Convoy was Galaxy Force, and Override was Cybertron? I don't know. The only reason I even know specifically what this character is supposed to represent is because I just did a Google search. So, obviously I'm not emotionally invested in this character in the slightest, but I still own it. You might be wondering why. Oh, there's two main reasons. First being, I just thought this molding and paint scheme looked even cooler than Calidus. And also because Nitro Convoy / Override, depending on which version of the show, yeah, it's weird. But basically, there's the Japanese version and the English version of the show. I forget which one is which, but basically in one of the versions, the character is a woman, and in the other version, the character is a man. I don't know why they decided to do what they did, but I'm always down to add more lady Transformers to my collection. So, Nitro is going to be she for the rest of this video. If you have a problem with it, I don't care. So, yeah, that's why I have Nitro. Also, I should say, Nitro was a very limited release in a couple of online retail shops, and I actually totally missed the boat on this. The whole reason I was able to get my hands on Nitro is because someone actually hooked me up on Twitter. And yeah, I'm not gonna name names because I don't want the people involved to get slammed with messages or anything like that. So if they say it's okay, I will name names, but until then, I'm not naming names. But regardless, I got the hookup with Nitro, and I am super happy. And also, when I say they hooked me up, I mean they hooked me up with a way to buy it. They didn't give me this figure. I totally bought Nitro on my own. This was not a gift or anything like that. Anyway, enough of the preamble. That went on for way too long. Nitro! Nitro is a really, really neat little futuristic car thing. I really like the way this looks, and I like the way it looked on Calidus, but I just really like it here even better. It's just such a neat little design, and I love the color scheme. It's like very nice matte white, little bits of this, I guess, sky blue kind of in there. And this very dark, almost black gray. There's bits of gold throughout. It's a really, really nice combination of colors. Even have the semi-translucent wheels here. They're a really nice, dark red, both on the front and the back here. And yeah, it's a really nice color scheme. I love the shapes and the lines on this vehicle mode. It's just a really, really interesting sort of futuristic space car look. It all kind of comes down to this nice point, and I really, really like just the weird kind of layout of the wheels where you've got two tiny wheels in back and then two really big wheels that are sticking out in front. It's really neat. I love the silhouette of this vehicle, and I love the contours. I love the color scheme. It's just a really, really neat vehicle mode, and I love it, and I've said it over and over again, but I continue to say it. I love it. And I do think it's cool. Now, I never owned Override or Nitro Convoy, but based on the pictures and videos that I've seen, they did a pretty decent job homaging the figure, possibly also the character, with this color scheme. Specifically, like the bits up here and these kind of jaggedy red details mixed in with the white there. Very evocative of that original figure. And yeah, it's a really, really nice remolding, and I am super into it. In terms of smaller details, there are some, but mostly it's just the overall shape and silhouette of this vehicle that has me excited. I mean, there's, just moving from front to the back, like all this stuff is kind of molded in, which is cool. And some nice molding in here. I do like the pipes that go down and around, although the separation right there is pretty obvious, and there's really no way to make it close up. It's just not the way it's built. But still, I do like that detail going around like that. And you can see some kind of joints and stuff if you know where to look, and some fists. Then you've got these little bits sticking off that serve no real purpose, but kind of fit with the design of the car. These little elements in here. It's just some really, really nice, more or less simple, but still very, very well put together, simple line work in the design of the outside of the vehicle. I just really, really like this. It's simple, but it's really cool and effective. And I feel like that's kind of been the Reformatted line's MO. Like, granted, I only have Dicamous as the other Reformatted figure in my collection currently, so I don't have a huge pool to pull from, but it just seems like Mastermind Creations with this line has been doing a really good job of keeping it simple without making it boring. Like, the details are a little bit on the simple side. There's no like super intricate molding, but like it all works really well. The same goes for the transformations, which we'll get into in a minute, but Mastermind Creations has been doing a really fantastic job with this line. And I guess speaking of, we should talk about Dicamous here, because here we can see Nitro with Dicamous, and yeah, Dicamous is definitely the bigger of the two. But I think that works because, you know, this is a huge, bulky vehicle that turns into a huge, bulky robot. That's kind of the whole point, I think. Whereas Nitro is much more, I guess you could say, like, sleek, slender. If we were going to go with RPG class type stuff, well, not really classes, but anyway, if we were making RPG style comparisons, Dicamous would probably be the tank, while Nitro would probably be either the ranged fighter or the thief that does DPS. Anyway, I'm mixing too many nerdy pursuits, I think. So yeah, just here's Nitro with Dicamous, and you can see they're definitely not in the same size class, which is totally fine. I think it works like this. Let's get these two back into a more normal setup, because we still have a couple more size comparisons to make. And rounding out the vehicle mode size comparisons, here we've got Nitro with a Titans Return Deluxe and our Amiibo Standard. And yeah, I guess you could kind of classify Nitro's vehicle mode as Voyager-ish, maybe slightly. It's kind of hard to say. She compacts really nicely into that, I guess, car. But yeah, just the vehicle mode, I would say, is probably somewhere between Voyager and Deluxe, because let's get this out of the way real quick. So if you compare the two of them, you can see Nitro is definitely bigger, at least wider, but they are about the same length. But then Nitro is like wider and taller, so yeah, I'd say in a general sense, Nitro's kind of pushing Voyager size. Alright, so I think that covers all of the size comparisons. I think that is enough of Nitro's vehicle mode, which again, really, really nice looking vehicle mode. I just love the way that all the colors come together and just the different shapes, and the fact that they managed to make a bunch of different details pop without it being overwhelming. It's really, really nice. But anyway, yes, Nitro's vehicle mode, that is it. So, let's take a look at her robot mode. And here is Nitro in her robot mode, and this looks really awesome. Again, it's pretty much the same exact skeleton as Calidus, or IDW Hot Rod / Rodimus, but it works really, really well as this other character, which admittedly I don't have any real familiarity with, but I just think this looks fantastic. And again, the way the colors come together here, especially just the red and the white overall, is really nice. And it's just like some nice little hints of black here and there, and all kinds of little gold details just all throughout, where you've got some on the feet and the shins, the forearms, the shoulders. It just looks really good. I will say the one complaint that I have, well, okay, two complaints. The two complaints that I have with this figure are the fact that it's the same problem that a lot of people have, where the ankles, when they're in their appropriate position, they don't really tilt very much, and that can be a little bit annoying when trying to pose. And the other problem, I think this is something that other people had issues with too, is it does that thing where the hip ratchets have either stock straight or awkwardly splayed out as like the only two positions that you can get for just like a regular standing pose, and that is a little annoying. But yeah, a surprising amount of this detail was actually visible in vehicle mode. I mean, granted, yes, this was on the underside, but these bits here actually do a pretty good job of mimicking this detail here. And these bits here are sort of mimicked by the feet here, so it sort of stylistically works. Love how the wheels tuck into the legs. That's really cool. Even the thighs have like a little bit of color picking out that line work. And then moving on to the torso. This is the one thing that color-wise I think is a little bit weird. Like this color here, these are the only two spots on the figure that color shows up. I don't know why this wasn't like either red or blue or gold or black. It's just like random color that just pops up right around here. I don't really know. But still, it's detailed nicely. And the chest is very different from Calidus, from what I've seen in pictures and videos, so this definitely helps to stand out. And I also really quite like how you've got a little bit of the windshield there. I mean, it's a little bit strange. I kind of wish that they had cut this a little differently so that the windshield didn't quite start to cover up her chin when you're looking at the figure dead on, but it's okay. So, I mean, it does clean up pretty nicely back here, but like with the way all of this works, I feel like this probably could have come out a little more for the sake of this going in a little bit more to not obscure that, but I don't know. And yes, while we're here, that is a very nice and clean backpack. I like how just that top back part of the car is the only thing you see. The arms, also very nice. And I actually kind of prefer these just nondescript but still semi-futuristic looking robotic arm guards over the spikes that Calidus has. And the shoulders do actually do their own thing with these little spikes. Not spikes, but like the cones coming off. It's a really neat, simple, but effective and sleek design. And the face is a very nice face. Not a ton of detail, but again, that's kind of the aesthetic. It's just strange kind of almost mustardy yellow, but I'm used to the face being like the one standout color on a figure because it's the figure's face. But it's still a nice balance of that red and white with a little bit of the blue and gold, so it kind of, aside from the darker black tones, like the head pretty much incorporates all of the colors, almost all of the colors from the rest of the figure, while still kind of standing out, which is really cool. Truth be told, when I got my hands on Nitro, it really made me tempted to get my hands on Titanica. Yes, I already have Dicamus, but something about having just a bunch of lady Transformers in my collection that don't look, blatantly ladylike is really just a neat thing to me. It's hard to explain. I don't know. I have a thing for ladies that can kick butt, and ladies that can kick butt without looking like swimsuit models, I think, are even cooler. Because it's just a tired thing, Like, let's at least try something a little bit different. Anyway, I'm getting ranty. So, Nitro off to the side there because it's size comparison time, and gonna need to adjust this a little bit. So there you can see Nitro with Dicamus, and they're pretty close in height. I mean, Dicamus is about a head taller, but the real difference is in bulk. Like, again, if we were to do the RPG comparison, you can see she'd be a speedier class, he'd be the slow damage-absorbing class. But this is a good look. I think the two of these figures together is really neat. Though, unfortunately, Nitro here does kind of make those issues I had with Dicamus's overall lack of paint in robot mode all the more apparent. Like, again, there's some decent color distribution here, but it's just like Nitro's got that color distribution plus a lot of little areas that have been painted that just really make the entire figure come together. And Dicamus still looks great, and he still looks like a wonderfully burly, no, not that one, robot that could do some serious damage, but I just really, really wish that he had a little bit more detail in the midsection here. Nitro has detail in the midsection. Why doesn't he? I guess that's what stickers are for, right? And then for a more generalized size comparison, you can see there she is with a Titan's Turn Deluxe and the Amiibo. And it's funny, in vehicle mode, she's sort of between a Deluxe and a Voyager. In robot mode, her height puts her, I'd say, probably closer to somewhere between a Voyager and a Leader. I mean, leaning closer to the Voyager side of things, but still, like I said, she compacts very nicely into that vehicle mode. And she turns into a surprisingly tall and really neat-looking robot. One other thing before I put the kibosh on this whole video, I do want to talk a little bit about her weapon. She comes with a blaster, and it's a nice blaster. It matches the color scheme. It works really well. It's, you know, she can hold it just fine, and it looks cool. And yeah, the issue that I have with this is the fact that I'm pretty sure that they painted this gold. I do not think that that is gold plastic because it's too perfect with the other gold painted bits on there, and that kind of concerns me because the handle for the gun is painted gold, and so yeah, I worry that that paint's gonna rub off by putting it in her hand, taking it out. There's a peg back here that it can store in vehicle mode or just on her back if you don't want her holding the gun, and I just worry that that's gonna rub the paint off. That concerns me. I don't want that really nice, pristine gold paint to break down. Anyway, that is going to do it with my look at Mastermind Creations Reformatted Nitro. You know, just a little put off by the gold painted gun, or rather the paint on the handle of the gun, and then the fact that the hips have those annoying ratchet settings and the heels, or the ankles rather, don't tilt super well, but I mean, overall, she looks fantastic. It's a really nice color scheme, and it stands out among a lot of the other figures that I have in my collection. I mean, I know there are other colorful figures, both official and otherwise, that are out there, but like this level of white and red, I haven't really seen that often. And it works really well here, and this is a standout figure in my mind just by color alone. I am very glad I decided to not go ahead and get Calidus, because for my money, if it came down to one or the other, I would absolutely pick Nitro. But anyway, that is enough of my ranting. So what do you think of Nitro here? Did you actually manage to get your hands on one? Have you been trying to find one? Are you hoping that they do a bit more of an open release on this figure? Because I know I am. I mean, yeah, I've got mine, but this is a really cool figure, and I feel like it'd be great if more people had the option to get their hands on her. And from what you've seen, if it came down to your pick, if you had to pick between Nitro and Calidus, which one would you go with? Or I should say, Nitro, Calidus, or the whatever the name is for the evil version, the Shattered Glass Rodimus version that they did, the one that's like black and purple. So if you had to pick between those three, which one would be your pick? Because, I mean, you're looking at mine, but I'm curious to know where you all stand. So please, by all means, leave a comment, let me know what you think down below, and while you're at it, please also feel free to like or subscribe. Any combination of those three things would make me a happy Rob. And remember, art is more than meets the eye.